Okay, guys. So this one's on turkeys for Thanksgiving. Raising your own turkeys. So this one's gonna be a bit longer because I'm just gonna cover this whole thing in one video because there's not really a whole lot. The videos would just be really small if I split it up. So we're just gonna make it. Oh, I might split it up. Why not? Okay. This one's okay. This starts turkeys for Thanksgiving with a gobble gobble here and a gobble gobble there. The turkey has pecked its way across the United States for hundreds of years to become an American icon. Traditionally, small farmers raise turkeys both for meat production and for pest control. Gobblers are avid eaters of insects like the tobacco hookworm and the tomato hornworm. By 1970, the production of turkeys had dramatically changed from small-scale farm production to large-scale confinement production on an industrial-type farm. Well, that sucks because they don't know how to raise animals. Today, industrial farms produce almost all of the 280 million turkeys required in the United States and Canada to meet the demand for holiday birds and turkey products ranging from turkey bacon to soup. Over 99% of the breeding stock, which is essentially held by just 3 multinational companies, is tied to merely a few strains of broad-breasted white turkeys that can no longer breed naturally. That sucks. It means they've ruined that particular breed of turkey. This movement towards industrial turkey production has left many of the old heritage turkeys, such as the standard bronze, the Bourbon Red, and the Narragansett in trouble. In 1997, the American Livestock Breeds Conservancy, ALBC, considered turkeys to be among the most critically endangered domestic animals and the most vulnerable to extinction. Since that time, many of the heritage varieties have begun to make a comeback, thanks largely to interest from the Slow Food USA. Sea Resources, okay, that's on page 3 from whatever, I don't care about that. Which has encouraged small-scale growers to increase the numbers of these endangered birds. The irony is that by creating a market for rare breeds, these growers have been able to keep heritage turkeys from becoming extinct. And we will be raising turkeys, so probably end up with a small flock of turkeys, so. Alright. Turkey varieties. By choosing to raise your own turkey for the holidays, you can ensure that your family is eating a quality bird that was raised well and slaughtered humanely. By choosing to raise a heritage variety, you can play a part in continuing the market demand for endangered birds to be kept in production. Following are 4 of the breeds that can be purchased from hatcheries and raised in the backyard. Standard bronze. The standard or heritage bronze was developed in the United States in the 1700s. As colonists began establishing settlements along the eastern seaboard, the turkeys they brought with them from England crossbred with the eastern wild turkey, yielding a cross that was larger and healthier than the birds from Europe. I'm also watching live weather coverage here too, so. The color of the cross was close to that of its wild forebears, an iridescent reddish-brown with flecks of green that glint coppery in the sun. That would be cool to get a hold of a few of those turkeys. Sound very pretty. But the moniker bronze wasn't applied until the 1830s when a strain developed in the Point Judith area of Rhode Island was dubbed the Point Judith bronze. During the late 18th and early 19th centuries, breeders began selecting for a larger breast and legs, and ultimately ending up with a broad-breasted bronze. The broad-breasted quickly dominated the marketplace. By the 1940s, the standard bronze was losing its position of prominence in the turkey world. The broad-breasted bronze, say that 10 times real fast, was the first variety to be bred up to a point where its large breast and small legs precluded it from mating naturally, thus requiring human intervention. All broad-breasted bronze turkeys are the result of artificial insemination, which is very sad, and it sucks. The broad-breasted bronze had a short stint, 20 years or so, as the main commercial turkey in North America. Only to be replaced by the broad-breasted white. However, the bronze maintained some popularity with barnyard and backyard producers. Unfortunately, over the ensuing years, the standard bronze, which was capable of mating naturally, almost disappeared. Today it is making a comeback. Like the Bourbon Red, it has been adopted by Slow Food USA's Arc of Taste program. The Bourbon Red. The Bourbon Red is an older American variety developed in Pennsylvania and Kentucky from crosses of buff bronze and white Holland turkeys in the late 1800s. It is a large bird with primarily rich chestnut red plumage, laced in black and highlighted by some white on the wings and tails. Excuse me. Dang it. That's what happened.
Hey Ryan, I'm watching two cells in northeastern Oklahoma right now. One of them near Stillwater.
I can't take you to the hospital. Someone can happen to the baby.
Okay. Okay. The Bourbon Red has remained popular with small producers thanks to excellent utility traits, such as good foraging capability, a relatively heavy breast, light-colored pin feathers for a clean carcass, and richly flavored meat. In fact, the Bourbon has the most breeding birds of any non-industrial heritage breed, with over 1,500 documented in the 2003 American Livestock Breeds Conservancy Census, about double the number from the 1997 census. Part of the Bourbon's rebounding success can be attributed to Slow Food USA, which has placed the Bourbon as well as the Buff, Standard Bronze, and Narragansett varieties in the Arc of Taste program. The Narragansett. Like the Bronze, the Narragansett, named for Narragansett Bay in Rhode Island, developed in the 1700s from crosses of domestic turkeys from Europe with eastern wild turkeys. In fact, some speculate that it may have been an intermediate between wild turkeys and the bronze. Its coloring is similar in pattern to that of the bronze, but where the bronze has a coppery tinge on the exposed portion of its feathers, the Narragansett has a steely gray color. The Narragansett breed was especially popular in New England during the 19th and early 20th centuries, and it also commanded respect in the mid-Atlantic states and the Midwest. But by the early 1950s, its numbers had plummeted. In spite of the fact that it was known for good meat quality, broodiness, and a calm disposition. In fact, when the ALBC completed its 1997 census, the organization had found only 6 breeding birds. By 2003, the Narragansett, with the help of its position in Slow Food USA's Arc of Taste program, had rebounded to 368 breeding birds, the most impressive increase in breeding numbers for any birds checked in the 6-year census. All right, the broad-breasted white. Keeping an eye on the weather. Also called the large white, this variety has been developed over the past half-century specifically for intensive industrial production. Unfortunately, it is sometimes shown under the name White Holland though the White Holland is a heritage bird, they can still breed naturally. Broad-breasted whites were developed from the White Holland and some white sports of the broad-breasted bronze. They have been selected for decades for efficiently producing the most meat at the least cost, and they are quite remarkable in that ability. The result, however, is a loss of the bird's capability to mate naturally, so artificial insemination is required to produce fertile eggs, and that's horrible. Broad-breasted whites generally are not kept beyond 1 year of age because they have leg problems and are prone to suffering from heart problems, such as plaque buildup. Most birds are butchered as soon as they reach marketable weight between 14 and 18 weeks of age. The one exception is small groups of breeding toms that are milked for sperm used in artificial insemination. Okay. Aww. Alright, I'll go through and read the part on raising turkeys, and then I will stop and I'll do another one, which will include. That's Texas. Which will include butchering and how to roast a turkey and how to carve a turkey. Okay.
Is how to get along without them.
Aww. Alright. Raising turkeys. Turkeys are not difficult to raise, but they do require special care to get them off to a good start. Sometimes they are a little slow in learning to eat and drink. Turkeys should be isolated from chickens and other poultry to prevent many diseases. It is important that turkey poults, which are young turkeys, be kept warm and dry during the first few weeks after hatching. This time is called the brooding period. You start with good stock and provide good feed, housing, and husbandry. You can raise turkeys successfully. So I'm definitely going to be reading up on this and probably get a book on raising turkeys.
That's not all.
However, before launching into production, even on a small scale, be aware of the cost. Day-old turkey poults are quite expensive as hatchlings go, and they consume a considerable amount of feed, thus the cost of producing full-grown market turkeys is comparatively high. And we're just going to be producing, we're just going to be using them for our own, farm, so. Whew, sorry. Hang on, guys. I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Okay, where did I leave off? I don't know. Okay, anyway. But yeah, our turkeys we're just basically gonna use for our own meat and our own basically birds to help guard the rest of the bird flocks. So, okay. Before starting a flock, check local laws and ordinances. Zoning regulations in some areas prohibit keeping poultry of any kind. If you live close to neighbors, keep in mind that noise, odor, and possibly fly problems are associated with raising turkeys. Well, we'll be on our property, so not a biggie. Place your order for poults well in advance of the delivery date so you can be sure to get the stock you want. The best time to start the small turkey flock is in late May or early June. Starting poults at that time enables you to grow them to the desired market weights just prior to the traditional holiday season, when the demand for turkey is strongest. It also avoids starting poults during the coldest season of the year, which can make growing young poults much more difficult. With good management, you should be able to raise to maturity 85 to 90% of the turkeys you start. With a high cost of poults and feed, mortality can become expensive. Mortality, I'm so sorry, you guys, can become expensive, especially when the birds are lost during the latter part of the growing periods. The following management techniques can help. Number 1, keep young poults isolated from older turkeys, chickens, and other poultry. Ideally, no other birds should be on the same farm where turkeys are raised. 2, take care to avoid tracking disease organisms from other birds to the turkeys. 3, follow a good control program for mice and rats. These rodents carry disease and are capable of consuming large quantities of feed. Rats can kill young poults too. 4, watch consumption on a daily basis. One of the first symptoms of a disease problem is a reduction in feed and water consumption. Sorry, tired, you guys. All right.
Let me know if you need anything else, huh?
So that was up to through the raising turkeys part. I will get this out there, and I will see you guys in a few minutes. Bye, guys.